Hi friends, welcome to another First Look. We're in my office today because it's too cold outside. So, hey, some years ago, Heritage 22 revolvers kind of leapt onto the scene, and for the money, say a couple $100, you got yourself a really reliable American-made single-action revolver with a safety and all kinds of other goodies and features. You can get a whole bunch of different accessories and options and grips and sights and all kinds of stuff. However, I saw something the other day and I thought, this sort of ramps the game up. If you get yourself a Rough Rider with a 16-inch barrel and this little grip frame edition and one of their very cool walnut buttstocks, you need one or two other accessories. They make a bolt for the buttstock, but all in all, it costs you about $300. You could make yourself your very own pretty cool retro revolving 22 carbine. And I'll show you how to do it. First thing to do is get yourself a bench like my bench behind me here, and the tools that you need are really pretty simple, and I'd be surprised if you don't have them. A couple of different screwdrivers. I use one of these replaceable tip sets, and a socket with a couple of extensions. You need about 4.5 inches, and then a socket set, and that's so you can lock in the stock bolt, which secures the stock to the grip frame. And then the grip frame goes on the gun. So we'll do it step by step here. So put on your thinking cap. Okay, we're here at the bench. I think you'll be able to see this okay. We've got a couple cameras on it. I went ahead and took the grips off. You don't really need to do that, but that way you can kind of see the mainspring thing here and what's going to happen as we take these screws out. It's already been cleared, so let's go ahead and take the front screw off first. And for that, you'll use your little bit bigger screwdriver blade. These screwdriver blades are magnetized, and they're handy when you're putting the screws back, but they always want to fight you when you're trying to get them out. Okay, let's get the smaller screwdriver, and we'll take these two screws out. And, remember, these are steel screws and aluminum frame, and so you can muck things up here if you're not careful. So just take your time. Don't force anything. If you're forcing something, then something's not correct. At this point here, what you want to do is kind of hook your thumb around the trigger guard and hold up. And what you're doing is you're putting pressure up against the bottom of the hammer here, and as you take these screws off, and I'll show you why. Okay, so maintaining pressure here, you can take out these last two screws. So remember, you take the bottoms off first and then take the top screws off. And as you do this, just remember, keep pressure on the grip frame. There's that darn magnetic screw head. There we go. But you want to keep pressure, upward pressure, because if you don't, it's just going to want to plop right off. So I'll show you here in a second. Okay, so the screws are out. Now watch, then this will just come apart like that. And so what's happening is there's this little curvy part at the bottom of the hammer, and that captures the top of the mainspring, and you'll see it cams against that. Now, something to keep in mind here, at this point, you've got the loading gate, screw or plunger, and spring, and that's what maintains pressure on the loading gate. And so just watch out, because the loading gate can fall out and that spring can come out. It's not the end of the world. And you just put them back in, and you can figure this out, I'm sure. Okay, now let's start the real conversion. Okay, so get your fancy new frame here, and you're basically just doing everything back in reverse. So feed this through, make sure you capture that spring, and then don't forget to, well, actually don't forget the top of the mainspring has to go push up against the bottom of this little cam on the bottom of the hammer. So it's really easy to do. Just push it up in against it, and you'll see it kind of capture the spring. The spring will go down a little bit, and then start screwing the top two screws back in. Well, I put one in, and remember, don't tighten them all the way, because you want it to be a little bit loose. That way you can adjust it if you need to get the other screws started. So we'll seat that second one, just leave a little bit of extra there. And so now you can see you can actually let go of this, but I've still got a little bit of movement as I do the last few screws. Well, I started these bottom screws because they can be a little fiddly, so just take your time and you'll get them in. and having the grip frame slightly loose allows you to be able to shift things around to make sure you get the thread started. So now I'll secure that front one, and at this point you can go back and tighten all of them up. Now remember, like I said before, steel screws and aluminum grip frame means the threads in the steel screws will really mess up the threads in the aluminum frame if you get a little bit crazy. So, okay, so that's nice and tight. Something to remember too is the fact that screws on single actions tend to vibrate loose, and so if you're going to the range, I would recommend having a screwdriver with you that fits the screws on your gun, because it's good to check them periodically as you shoot. Okay, next up, we have to install the stock bolt, which goes right here, and so, there we go. We need to loosen the butt plate here. And so there's 2 screws, just wood screws. Unscrew one, and then you can usually rotate it. I pre-loosened this a little bit. And then the stock bolt with the washer, which you can see right there, just goes right into here, and you just kind of feed it through the hole at the bottom, and then you'll notice that it will stick out just like that. Now the frame has a threaded little bracket area here, and so what you'll do is get your socket and extensions, get it over that bolt head, and then you can just look here and you can actually get the screw started. There we go, I think it's lined up. Turn it until you feel the threads bite, and then you can transition to the socket wrench. Well, attach your socket wrench on there and go ahead and ease this in. Now remember, like everything with a gun, you're not securing the cylinder head for a V8 engine here. So just get things snugged up, and if you're having to bang away or get a pry tool or something like that, chances are pretty good you did something wrong, and you just kind of step back and take another look at what you're doing. Okay, then we'll screw on the butt plate. Just standard wood screws here, and just like the metal screws, don't wonk these down too tight. Okay, just nice and snug. Make sure the other one's snugged up, and looks like we are done. Now let's talk about it. I think you'll find once you have this together, you've got something that's really neat. It's light, it's easy to manage, it actually carries really well like this. This little finger hold on the grip there makes it easy to carry down at your side. The only real thing you need to remember about this gun is the fact that it is a revolver, and you do get some blow-by right here at the gap where the barrel meets the cylinder, and so you don't want to fire it like this. I mean, it may not hurt you very badly because it's a 22, so when you go to shoot this, remember that you want to keep this hand back here somewhere. So then you cock it, and then aim, and then shoot just like that. And then you can cock with your off finger or thumb, or you can cock with this thumb. And we'll shoot this another day when there's not so much snow outside. Okay, hey, that's enough for today. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you see, please subscribe. If you leave a comment, I promise I'll answer you. I always watch them, and I always respond. And remember the 4 firearm safety rules, would you? All right, you guys stay warm and take care.